HIV and AIDS and cybercrime. The correlation between these things is in their specific domains. In South Africa, in Africa, I mean, they are all in the top five. We cry a lot about unemployment, we cry a lot about HIV status, but we really don't cry a lot about cybercrime. As introduced earlier, my name is Lance, and I'll be taking you through how to develop a good cybersecurity hygiene. So let's set the context. Is staying safe online important at all? I mean, that's been answered. We had various speakers talk about being safe online, users, etc. But how do we get to get that buy-in internally? So a bit of statistics here. 92% of successful breaches start with a spear phishing attack. 96% of cybersecurity breaches in Africa go unnoticed. So, if I'm to ask people, do you get phishing emails? They'll probably say, no, we are safe. So this all starts coming to a ballpark, and every 30 seconds, an organization in Africa is getting breached. So the amount of time I've been here, probably 3 or 4 organizations have already been attacked. As a business, cybercrime is expected to be a $10.5 trillion business by end of 2025, which is just next year. So this shows you the pace at which the bad actors are moving to try and compromise our users. So what are the main drivers behind, the bad actors? So the attack surface is growing. Bring your own device has made this a very large surface. I'm able to access my work emails from my iPad, from my phone, from my watch. So all these layers have to be protected. Sophistication of attacks. Back in the day, you'll just get a message to say, hey, you've won 1 million rand in the Coca-Cola draw, which you might not have entered. But now it comes with your name, it comes with something that entices you. So it's much more sophisticated and hard to identify. The value of the data. We now have ransomware as a service, where they capture your website and they ask for money for you. So that website has valuable information which you want to safeguard. Pandemic-related shift. Back in the day, we would all be coming from an office. Now we have people working from anywhere post-pandemic, and that has also increased the risk of getting hacked. There's also a lack of cyber hygiene. Our users just click on anything and everything, and it's solely not their fault because we're not really taking time to arm them so that they'll be able to identify these risks. And last but not least, there's very slow adoption of security measures, especially when it comes to training the user. All right, so enough of that gloomy information. What now? How do we act upon it? So the base of it is we have to train our users. But in so doing, we have the Gartner old way of security awareness training. Because this is a simple tick box exercise to say, hey, audit, we are doing training, this is not going to reduce your risk because your users are just doing it rushly and not really processing the information that you're giving them. There's now what we call the new school security awareness training. And the best practice for this is to train your users at least once a month so that you keep users aware of the certain hacking mechanisms that are out there. Simulate your users, send simulated phishing emails so that you can see how they would react if it was a real life attack, and you can get to see where your most vulnerable users are and train them. Every week, send them tips and reminders. Hey, this week, this is what's been going on in the hacking world. If you receive such an email, please report it to IT. And it's not a one-size-fits-all, so choose the preferred cadence which you will follow and easily get your users comfortable with it. So what we're trying to do is to build what we call a human firewall. So how do you build that human firewall? You've built your infrastructure, it's there. The network is marvelous, it's there. Devices are protected by our antiviruses. We have to empower our people. We have to train them. But in so doing, we need to get their buy-in. And how do we get this security awareness and compliance buy-in from our users? We have what you call the knowledge, intention, behavior gap. So you might train your users. They might know this is dangerous. They might intend to really report it to you, but if they don't have the behavior, nothing is going to change. So there's a quick example there. If John is new to the security awareness training, he has low motivation and low ability to spot red flags. So we start easy with him. We give him easy templates. He starts enjoying it because he feels like a pro. He feels like, oh, wait, we thought security awareness was just for IT, but I can easily identify this. So you get his buy-in. So now John has better ability spotting these emails and reporting them. He receives recognition, high motivation for reporting them. And in so doing, he actually reports the actual threats to you as well. And he's supported by the team. You give him a brownie, you give him a certificate of completion, and now he's ready to tackle more difficult and frequent security awareness training. So this is where now we match the ability and motivation for him to keep continuing that as a lifestyle. So there's a good graph there to make it technical and complex. And once you cover that gap, then your users are good to go. So here's a good statement: winning the hearts and minds to influence behavior. That is what will reduce your cybersecurity risks in your organization. And some of the ways that you're able to do this is creating a cyber champions advocacy group. Just get, internal staff members and make them your champions. So they really don't have to be qualified at all, but they should be people who are trusted in the organization. So you pretty much have your own cyber army. You also have to ensure a constant stream for reinforcement, provide champions with the messaging content. So, I might be a champion in my department, but I need to sit with you so that you tell me, speak about this. Tell users to lock their laptops when they leave their desk. And yeah, as I said earlier, look for people who are listened to, more of your influencers internally. You can also go through some of these success stories and observations that we've managed to get through with our users using the platform. So first of all, you identify your outcomes that you want to meet. You have a total plan for the year. So that it's not just random and you're running like a headless chicken. You also have to know that security culture can be fun. It's not a one size fits all. So there's gamification, there's assessments, there's pop-ups that you can just randomly send to your users. Communication is also very key to your success. The visibility, expectations management, and the board meetings to also get their buy-in. Exchange experiences with other peers, not from the same organization. A good instance is like today. There are some organizations here who have been using us for long. Get their insights and find out what their experience has been. Also having benchmarks and regular reviews so that you can see the sort of trajectory that you're following. We also offer customer success management team. So they have experience on the entire security awareness and compliance lifecycle. Pick their brains, ask them, what would happen if I do this now? What would happen if I take this step? So as a key takeout on bridging the knowledge, intention, behavior gap, you have to discover your attack surface, where most of your vulnerabilities are, simulate and target opportunistic attack types, and mainly this is your simulated phishing email, QR code scanning, and understand the impact of the breach and make it known to your end users that if this was an actual threat, the organization was going to lose access to its website and all its resources. So the three realities of security awareness to keep in mind as you start building your program is because your users knows it, it doesn't mean they care, right? If you try to work against human nature, you will always fail because, nature is nature. And what your employees do is way important than what they know. So that's why we're trying to build that human firewall. Thank you very much. And are there any questions?
Thanks. Just looking at what you refer to as best practices, I think when you were stating I don't know what you call them, but you mentioned that there is changing attack surfaces and stuff. So considering the developments like the challenges that things like AI and deepfakes are bringing to the flow, I don't think I recognize any of your new school security training approaches that will help us deal with training that is aligned to recognizing things like deepfakes and so forth. So what I see as mentioned as your best practices still probably looks so traditional. I'm not sure if there's any approach that you have considered that will start considering the reality that with developments such as AI, we are more likely to start seeing, for example, phishing emails that even the best of the cybersecurity specialists are going to find it difficult to spot. So, how do we change what I believe was the traditional way of driving awareness amongst employees to allow them or to equip them to start recognizing complex, as you referred to them, sort of attack types from a training point of view?
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that question. So as we all know, AI is the new kid on the block. It's a buzzword. So as KnowBe4, we have our own internal content publishers, right? So when I was mentioning the best practice, I wasn't going by topic. So each and every month we publish new content, and as it stands, we have multiple content available on artificial intelligence. So first of all, what animal is it? How is it used? How can you prevent yourself from falling to artificial intelligence? We also have a feature called artificial intelligence driven agents on our platform. So this pretty much looks at what your user is doing and pretty much selects templates from that machine learning results, exploiting their weaknesses so that we rehash on that. So we're full on it. We have topics that train users on that. We have phishing emails that are also making use of artificial intelligence from an AI perspective. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. This is Nolo from Zero Solutions Group. I just wanted to find out, on your last slide, you mentioned that having the human firewall just know things is not enough. We also have to get them to care. So I just wanted to find out what ways can you suggest that will ensure that our users actually care? Because we do send out comms, we do have these short courses for them, but then how do we ensure that whatever it is that we are bringing across to them actually sticks with them and makes them care enough to assist us in protecting our data?
Okay, great. Very good question. So I'll answer that in two parts. So the first part, I did mention that it's important for your users to know the end result of an action that they would have done. So if they click on a phishing email, of course they're going to go through training, but it's also important to have that chat with them to say, the link that you clicked on potentially could have cost the company these resources. All right. Then secondly, frequency of training. It's just like school. We had to go to school every day. We still do. Hey, we still go to school every day, so that that frequency sticks on. When something sticks on a human, it becomes second nature. So now they will be used to it, and they'll just do it without any form of thinking because it's embedded in them. There's a question at the back.
Hi, Lance.
Good morning.
Quick one. So at the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned, you showed 3 slides, right? And you pointed out on unemployment and HIV status, which are one of the high statistics in Africa. So, and then you touched on security, but both the unemployment and HIV statistics have had awareness, right, from the community, from the government. How is KnowBe4 enabling people on security?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. So first and foremost, that's why I'm here. This is to enable you and spread the word. But we also offer free tools on our website. So you don't even have to be a KnowBe4 customer. You're able to send out phishing emails to your users to get your benchmark and see really where you stand. We also have quite a lot of marketing initiatives, digital marketing, bottom line marketing, that we're trying to just raise this awareness so that, users see the value of training up your users. So those are some of the efforts that we are engaging in trying to raise the awareness globally to our end users.
Sorry. So not for corporate people, but more for the community, because security starts,
In a community.
yeah, in the community,
Yeah.
and all the way up.
I mean, we also are involved in certain academies as part of our CSR, where we are training up youth and empowering, especially the girl child. So those are some of the ways we are trying to reach out and assist in the community, so that they get to know that first and foremost, there's security awareness before even KnowBe4. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Lance. I just want to ask from KnowBe4, how do you, when you are onboarded into an organization, how do you now get, because even in the presentation, they were speaking about how executive or the board, you need to get like a board support so that whatever you're doing can cascade down to all the employees for them to be able for this solution to be able to be effective. How do you just get onboarded and you start your trainings? Everyone does the training however they want, or do you start from the board level or the executive level to say, we are onboarding this solution, we need your support, and so that you can also change the culture of the environment? Because sometimes, mostly, you find that in organizations, people are just not coming forward, especially with trainings all the time. Maybe you have to do trainings every month or quarterly. Some people will just push back. How do you get that to ensure that whatever you're implementing will not just be you implementing, it will actually have an impact in the organization? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So first and foremost, when you onboard, we just don't leave you and say, thank you for your PO, you can go. You get allocated a dedicated customer success manager. So these are my colleagues, and their expertise is to walk the entire security awareness and compliance journey with you. So they have expertise, on how to advise you to get buy-in from different levels. First and foremost, cybercrime knows no title. Board director, all the way to someone who joined today. So first and foremost, they send out what you call your benchmarks, right? When you get results from these benchmarks, you then sit down and see what it means. Then you can have a chat, with your decision makers to see, this is where we stand and this is what it means. And there's been a lot of research on security awareness. You can refer to those statistics. And I kid you not, many of these, I don't want to use directors or board members, but many of these users also click because they're human. And that's a very good starting point to start the conversation. And again, it's not victimization. It's actually identifying, say, okay, fine, we've realized this gap. We have a knowledge gap. And the way we're going to address it is through security awareness training. And these are the results that it will bring.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. My question is, how do you change users' attitude? Because I'm having a concern. You will find that employees completed all their training modules, but when you run the phishing simulation, they failed that. And they put the organization into distribute. So I just want to understand what will be the measures to put in place to ensure that you will change users' attitude to understand that their behavior will put their job at risk, because the possibility of them losing a job as a result of the organization, like maybe paying the regulator because the data will have been lost as a result of their actions, will be there. So I just want to understand through KnowBe4, how do you change users' attitude to understand their actions?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So as I mentioned earlier, user awareness in changing user attitude, first of all, is frequency. So if they do their training, try and see the sort of marks that they are achieving on that, and link it to the simulated test. When someone clicks on a phishing email, I mean, go to them and, even an email to say, this is what's been happening. The platform also allows for you to send, constant reminders. You can configure that it goes out weekly. Send cases of what's going on. Many organizations are getting breached. Many people are losing jobs because of that. Put it into perspective so that they actually see, what their actions could lead to. You might get a lot of emails being reported after that because these are now bread and butter issues, but it brings that mindfulness and awareness to them that they have to really stop and really think about an action before they undertake it. Does time allow for another question? Okay, one more. But if there's any other burning questions, we have a table there, and you can come and we can have a chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Lance. Building on what the gentleman raised there around attitudes, if you're looking at the 7 key dimensions of security awareness, right? You've got your behaviors, attitudes, norms, responsibilities, all of those, right? If you do your culture survey and you identify that your organization is lacking in a certain one of those dimensions, right? Let's say, for instance, you look at attitudes like the gentleman raised, or behaviors. How would you address that, knowing that now you've done your secure culture survey, you understand that, listen, a couple of these dimensions are lacking. How would you address that in terms of awareness and training, and furthermore, even education after that?
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that question and addition. So we do have the security awareness culture survey, which you can undertake to see which different dimensions are you lacking in. So now with the customer success manager, they can sit with you because they have that expertise to say, look, our attitude is not changing simply because maybe we're training people with training modules. Let's gamify it. Let's get their buy-in. Let's watch the series, The Inside Man. They binge watch it, thinking that they're consuming content when they're actually subconsciously getting training. And you'll see that over time, it's not an overnight process. Over time, if you keep doing this and rehashing this, the attitude and behaviors of your users will change because you're now doing something that is engaging for them and enjoyable for them. It's no longer just a chore, a tick box exercise because IT and compliance say we should do it. Yeah. Thank you very much. So yeah, if you have any more questions, you can just come to our table and we'll assist you.